So today I'm going to outline how I transitioned my Communications 1140, which is a workplace writing course, from face-to-face to remote teaching. And I'm going to take you through the 6 steps that I went through. The first step that I went through is learning about my students and trying to identify their barriers. And here I'm really grateful to those who have taught me a lot about UDL, which is really important to this process. The second thing I did was I created some guiding principles for the semester. So 5 things I wanted to remember to make sure I was on the right track. Then I grouped learning outcomes together and I turned these into modules. So students are going to be basically working in these 2 to 3 week chunks, and they can determine their pace. So they can do it all in 1 week, they could take the full 3 weeks, just to build in some flexibility, but also to have those checkpoints. Then I turned those modules into a course plan, and I actually made a map of how the course will go so the students can orient themselves. I turned that course plan into a weekly schedule, and then I planned assignments and revised as necessary. So I started with students. Obviously, it's all about the students, and I like to try to really focus and picture who's going to be in my class. And I found, especially in this moment, that students are facing quite a few extra barriers, and I really wanted to try to anticipate some of those barriers and bust them beforehand. So I actually did a survey. I surveyed students, asking them about their technology use, some of the barriers they might encounter, where they'll be living, if they have internet access at home, any accommodations, etc. And that really helped me to plan. Now that get a sense of who my students are. And I also kind of realized obviously students are going to be stressed, dealing with upheaval. All of us are dealing with upheaval, but many may be new to online learning. A lot didn't choose to be online learning. Many have limited access to technology, especially laptops. Some students are living overseas, so they are have gone back to their country of origin, or they haven't left yet if they're international students. And I decided that I really wanted to give flexibility for students so that they can still be successful despite challenging circumstances. And I also really believe that connection and care is going to be very, very important, even more so than it usually is. And then I also wanted to think about, can this be done with pen and paper? So if I have a student who doesn't have a laptop, but they have a smartphone, can they write in pen and paper and then take a picture and send it to me? So that work helped me come up with some guiding principles. The first one is no busy work. So if I'm going to ask students to devote time to something, I really want it to be meaningful. And that means getting student feedback about what they consider meaningful. I also wanted to build in care and connection each week and do that very explicitly. So I really think each week, as I'm listing my learning outcomes, how am I going to be showing care? How am I going to be connecting with students? And how are students going to be connecting with each other? After that, I really wanted to balance both giving students flexibility in their schedule, but also doing things as groups. So doing some group activities to promote that connection and to make students feel less isolated. I also, particularly to this course, the way that I usually teach it face-to-face, we do a lot of research as a group, and some of that was not possible during this moment. So I decided to dial down the focus on research. We're still doing some, but it's going to be less of a component, and really think a lot about the student's own voice, communicating clearly, communicating concisely, etc. And then I wanted to give students a choice for how to display their learning, going back to the no busy work. So, giving students some choice in, do they want to create a blog? Do they want to create an archive of the time during coronavirus? Do they want to share it, etc.? So after that, now I have my guiding principles in place, I turned to the learning outcomes. There's quite a few learning outcomes for Communications 1140. There's 16. And so I basically grouped them by theme. To turn them into modules. So this one, for example, is all about communicating to different audiences. And I saw that I had 6 modules. So those 6 modules got turned into a course map. So basically students will be working on the course in these little bite-sized chunks, and each one builds on the next. So for example, module 2, we think about meeting our audience's needs. And then module 3, we build on that by thinking about how to help our audience understand our message using organization, etc. And so the students will be working in these short modules so they can decide if they want to work ahead. Each module is about 3 weeks, but they could choose to do it in 1 week, or they could choose the full 3. So building in those checkpoints, but then also giving that flexibility. And so having this visual really helped me also to simplify the course. I ended up streamlining it quite a bit. And from there, I decided to build out a structure every week. So each week I'm listing the objectives, so the learning objectives, and then also some other goals that I have for that particular week. I've listed some readings. I've listed the learning activities that students are going to be invited to do. And then, as I said before, I've been really explicit about how I'm building in community and care. So each week I'm doing something to help promote the community and to help promote care. And then I also have what assignments are due in that particular week. And so I, in kind of building the course this way, thinking about what I was going to be doing each week, I was then able to kind of, as I was doing that, figure out what assignments I wanted to assign and make some changes based on that. So some of the assignments that I decided to do, I ended up having to sort of make some changes to the course map and to the weekly schedule. So those are the 6 steps that I did, and my hope is that giving students this information will really help them understand why I'm asking them to do things, and will hopefully lead to a positive experience. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you have a great semester.